Hola, muchacho.
Hey, what's up, homie?
Not much, man. Let me see. Which way did I have this usually? There we go.
There we go.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Can you hear me good?
Yeah, I can hear you
Okay,
just
good.
fine.
Okay, good. Because I'm in my bedroom
Okay.
because Ari's watching her show and stuff. So I just wanted to
Okay.
let her use the TV and stuff and not take up the.
There you go.
So we're just waiting on Tony.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I changed my I look so much smaller than you now.
Oh, really? Because you look so much bigger than me.
Oh, well, maybe that's just so we're side by side on my screen, and then I am like, yeah, that's a little better.
You want me to maybe
No, you're fine.
here? How's that?
That's actually good. All right, cool.
Okay, cool, cool.
Here he is. Oh, look at that.
Yo,
Look at this guy.
Hey, what's up, Tony?
You
what's happening?
Good.
look
What are
like
you up to, man?
you're floating in the abyss.
In a blurry.
Oh, should I de-blur? Should I
It's
unblur?
up to you. Like, do you have something back there that no one should see?
Yeah, I mean, we'll find out.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It's just a painting. It's fine.
What's up, guys?
How you
What's up?
doing, man?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
So, um,
I'm in my rocking chair, so you'll see me just moving up and down a little bit. Hope that doesn't
it's
make you guys sick.
no,
No, that's okay.
you look like you're in a new Radicals video or something.
I might be. I might be.
You got the
Didn't they only
music in
have
you.
didn't they only have one video?
I think they do.
Yeah. Or what am I
That
thinking
song's
of?
kind of a banger.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
like it.
yeah. It's a good one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Gets
All
the
right,
gets
so
the gets the job done. What's up? What do you guys want to talk about?
Let's talk about all
everything.
kinds of shit.
You've got no motivation and you've got no self-esteem. There's a hole inside your head with no future to be seen. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Every day wake up with the same old routine. You're content with this wall and the same old boring scene. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
Are we
introduced
starting?
you
Did we
intro
start?
Yeah, we
yeah,
might as well
introduce your
start. Like
brother,
I
Sam.
can cut out anything. So yeah, you gave it away already, John, but uh today we have a guest, I guess, and he might be my brother, as John mentioned.
Oh,
Um
or you can edit that part out, I guess.
I guess.
Guess.
And Tony is the singer and guitarist for the Pittsburgh Americana folk rock band Gallatin Hall, and they have a new EP that they are in the process of working on, and we wanted to talk a little bit about that. We wanted to talk about some, me and Tony, of course, grew up together, being brothers. So we like a lot of the same kind of music. We kind of dovetailed, a little bit in our teenage years, as siblings do, but yeah, I think we still have a lot of similarities musically. And
And
yeah,
I've known Tony since he's been like 13, so I think I can actually weigh in
And I
on
haven't
this interview for a while here too. So
yeah, yeah.
and I haven't like I'm the same height.
yeah,
I topped out at 13, and that's just I said I'll stay.
Yeah.
I'll stay.
It's
just
like,
I'll
you
stay
know what?
right here.
This is pretty good. I think I'll stick with this.
Yeah. Yeah. 5'4". 5'4". I was an average 13. No, that's not true. I was never average height.
Yeah.
I was gonna say my 13-year-old is almost 5'5".
Yeah. So am
Yeah.
I.
So yeah, so
I'm
he's
also almost 5'5". And I
so
just
you
turned
would
40, so I think I'm officially on the the other end of the bell curve. I'm going to start beginning my shrinking years any day now.
Well, not to add salt to the wound, my almost 20-year-old daughter is 5'10" and a half, and my newly 18-year-old older son is 6'2".
No, well, you're big though.
Yeah.
You're gonna have some big kids.
Yeah, one of them's gonna pass me. I just know it. No, that'll be fine.
But 6'2" is tall for anyone, and 5'10" is tall for a girl.
Yeah, she really. I was like, she got to like 15, and I was like, I don't see you growing much more, and that's probably the best thing for you in future relationships.
Well, I had friends in college who played like volleyball, female friends in college who played volleyball. And I mean, like really pretty girls, but they were like 6', 6'1", and they had like the same problem I had, just like, the opposite, right? Like being a really, really tall girl was really hard for them dating wise, just like being a really short guy, like at times was really hard for me dating wise. So we could kind of commiserate on that. Then I was like, what do we do? Let's just get together. Let's just become a fucking circus freak show, like a 5'4" dude just dating a 6'1" girl.
You can be
let's just make this. Let's just cut this shit.
Watch both your sons like grow to be like 7 feet tall for some reason.
Yeah, right. Like, they're already so tiny.
Yeah, like nobody else in our family is tall, so it's like it would be really funny if they were the first.
It'd be really funny, and also I would be like, are you my kid? I saw you be born, so I know you're her kid.
Right.
Well, both my parents aren't really super tall. I ended up getting tall because of my grandfather. So like it actually kind of skipped a generation, because my dad was only 5'10" at his tallest, and my mom's barely 5'3", and my brother's only 5'9", and here I am, stick out like a sore thumb. So
do you have that? Do you have like the Andre the Giant gigantism? Maybe you just have like a tumor on your gland, and you're just gonna keep growing and growing and growing.
Oh, Tony, I have a tumor on my gland, and don't worry about it.
It has nothing to do with my height.
Yeah, nothing to do with my height.
No,
it has to do with
gland.
my width.
It just has to do with his gland.
Yeah. Okay, so this Tony, is going to devolve quickly if we don't get this train back on
let
track.
Let it evolve.
I was starting to try to ask something then.
Shit. Oh yeah, go for
it. No, what? So tell us about this EP that you guys are working on.
Well, it's crazy. Like, so, like I said, I just turned 40. I think I wrote my first song when I was 30. But I take a lot of, like, entirely too much time to write songs. But like anything, and you've known me my whole life, Sam, so I don't just do anything. I'm like, I overthink and I overthink. It takes me a long time to like really say like, hey, I'm done with this thing, and I feel like it's at a point where I'm proud enough of it to show other people. But we're up to the point now. I've written like over 20 songs, and we started doing scratch tracks on it a couple months ago. Me and my bandmates. 𝗀𝗂𝗯𝗏 plays upright bass. Phil Moskoff plays guitar, mandolin. And some of the ideas he's throwing down on the scratch tracks. He's playing banjo on one of the songs. He's playing piano on one of the songs, harmonica. And then our drummer Kevin, he just joined. We actually just had our first full band practice with him, but he's going to be recording it and helping produce it as well. Do the sound engineering. It's we don't know which songs are going to go on yet. We've done scratch tracks for like eight songs so far, and we just want to do like a 4 or 5 song EP. But it's just kind of fun playing with all the different ideas and sounds and stuff, because these songs have just been so nobody watching or this would know this, but we were a 3-piece forever with no percussion.
Right.
Kind of that traditional Americana-y thing where you're like, we don't need a drummer, whatever. Maybe the bass player will just like step on a kick drum or something like that. That'll be our percussion, but the more we got into it and stuff, we're like, I don't know, some of these songs would sound really good with percussion on it. So we are adding that, like, not just for the EP, which was the original talk, but we're going to add it for like live shows. And we have a whole slew. We have like 4 shows in 5 weeks coming up, and I think Kevin's going to play all of them. So he's learning our songs like crazy, and any of the covers we're going to throw into our shows as well.
What kind of covers do you guys do? I know for a while you were doing like a Tom Petty song, and I
Yeah,
can't remember what else.
it's a little all over the map. Violent Femmes. We even throw in like a Paranoid Android era Radiohead song, which is fun because I think when people see upright bass and guitar and mandolin, nobody's expecting you to do like Paranoid Android.
Right.
No one's expecting you to do like an 8-minute like borderline prog rocky Radiohead song. They might expect something from like the Benz era Radiohead, but no one's kind of sees that one coming.
Like Fake Plastic Trees or something like that.
Yeah, like something like that they would kind of see coming, but they don't see anything coming from like OK Computer on forward. So that's fun. Do we do it? We don't do any Frank Turner covers right now. Yeah, we do like Tom Petty, but we try to stick away from like any of like the more obvious songs. We do like Wildflowers by Tom Petty. We do like Heart of Gold by Neil Young. We'll throw that in there. We'll throw in like a Beatles song, but it's usually like Two of Us or Rocky Raccoon or something like that.
Yeah.
Something a little bit more.
The Wait, a couple songs by the band, stuff like that. We try to stay away from like the really. When we started doing this years ago, we were a cover band, me and my original bandmate, and we said from the get-go, like, there's certain songs like I just can't get up there and play in front of people without feeling totally cheesy. One of them's like Wagon Wheel. If I had to play Wagon Wheel or shoot myself in the head, I might just be like, hand me the fucking gun.
Don't worry, there's enough bands out there doing Wagon Wheel. You're fine.
Yeah. There's a couple places we play that you when you get up there, they have like a sign, like in Wayne's World, where it says "No stairway."
They're like no wagon wheel.
No wagon wheel. Bartenders are like, please, for the love of Christ, do not play Wagon Wheel, please.
I think it'd be really funny to have a band and do like
only Wagon Wheel.
Like the set
3 hours.
The set would go Wagon Wheel, Folsom Prison Blues, Freebird, Wagon Wheel,
American
Folsom
Girl,
Prison Blues. No, and then end with American Girl.
American Girl. What's the other? Free Fallin', American Girl.
The Chain.
We were playing some. There was a bar near here that was having like a whole day of. They were having like this big event, and they were raising money for like the local. It was like a local like animal rescue and stuff. We were like, yeah, we'll play that. And right when we walked in, we were like, oh, this is not going to be a good idea. This was actually the most recent show we played. We were like, this is not our type of crowd. Because right when we walk in, there's this guy playing, and it's just him solo. And he's doing a medley, which medleys are always, I think, a fucking terrible idea. I think they can go, they can go really bad. This guy was doing a medley of that, of Sweet Home Alabama and that Kid Rock song that's basically just Sweet Home Alabama.
Right.
And it was just a slew of like women in their 50s with like studded like jeans, like jeans that have studs on the back pocket and shit.
Like bedazzled jeans,
just like going crazy dancing. And they loved this guy so much. And I was like, this is our crowd. It's not like more people. This is the people we're going to be playing for very soon. And like half of our set is originals. And these people are going to hate us. But at that same show, something that I never saw before, all of those women brought percussion instruments from home. So they were handing like, they all had like shaker eggs and tambourines and stuff. And we were like 3 songs in, and we don't have a drummer, right? So we're like 3 songs in, and they're just like going crazy with these things. And like, I'll like sing a line, and then I move away from the mic and I go, you have to stop. Then I'm like, no, 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 no. Please, please, you have to stop. You have to stop. And then in between songs, they're like all these women are just like, oh, they're just like waving their hands, like they're trying to be all like sexy and cute. They're like, ooh, like shaking them and stuff like that. And in between songs, I'm like, I've never seen anything like this before in my life. I was like, you can't play percussion.
And they're like,
Well,
woo!
they were woo girls, yeah, like grown up woo girls. And I was like, you can't do that. You're fucking us up very badly. Like we can't stay on time with you playing percussion.
Were
Was
you
it
getting
like playing the
punked?
Lawrence County Fairgrounds again? Like, did it remind you of that?
Pretty much. Was I getting what, Sam?
I said, were you getting punked? Like, did Ashton Kutcher jump out at some point and be like,
It
just
felt like
kidding?
it.
Like,
It felt
No,
like,
you got
and
punked, dude.
then, like, I looked at the one lady's husband. I was like, he's like looking at me, and I like pointed to his wife, and I was like, and I was just going like, she's got to stop. She's got to stop. And it took like four songs. They just kept doing it, even and finally, our bandmate's wife went up to the bartender and was like, "Hey, we got it. These people got to quit playing, trying to play percussion for the band. They're standing right in front of us and like not even like nearly being on beat. It was totally fucking us up." And I was like pretty pissed off. I was like,
what bar was this?
It was this brewery near us, Helltown Brewery, in out in like Westmoreland County,
Helltown Brewery?
Helltown. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody watching, like, if you're in a band in Pittsburgh, don't ever play Helltown Brewery.
Without a
We're
percussionist.
playing there on May 9th. We're playing there again on May 9th.
No. Tony Ritchie from Gallatin Hall wants to advise you to never play at Helltown Brewery if you're in the Pittsburgh area.
Not true. Robbie, the manager, Robbie.
Don't do that.
I'm
Don't
just
do
kidding.
that.
We just
I'm
had
just
a bad day drinking crowd that day of like really strange.
It was a bunch of Newcastle people showed up and tried to play percussion
Kinda.
things.
Oh my God. Did you guys see the flyer for the Newcastle Music Festival?
Yes.
There's a Newcastle Music Festival.
Yeah, Wiedis is headlining it. And then it's
That's
just
not real.
No,
Yeah,
it's real, dude.
Is it at the
Cascade Park.
fairgrounds? Oh,
No,
Cascade.
it's
Wiedis is playing Cascade Park in
Yes.
Newcastle.
And every other band is like a local Newcastle band. And like I know it looks really sad. It looks like such a bummer.
I mean, I would love to see Wiedis.
Fair.
Like, you know, I actually like Wheat. I remember when me and you drove to Boston. I was like, "Have you ever listened to Wheatus
But
beyond?"
yeah, we
like,
listened to Wheatus a lot on the way there.
yeah. I was
My
like, "You should
buddy's
check out
bands.
Wheatus."
my buddy's band's actually playing that. I'm actually pretty stoked for them. Drifting thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he opened up a show that I threw at West Side Bowl for this band came out from California. Yeah, he's really good, dude. He's really good.
I'm still gonna make fun of that festival though.
It's okay. I'm not telling you not to.
No, I mean it's
I
Newcastle.
don't give a fuck, dude. What do I care?
I was looking at all the bands. I was like, what is this? And did you see the bottom of the flyer who like the sponsors were? Normally you'll see like sponsored by like Bud Light, or like, there'll be like it was like sponsored by like 1 Minute Cleaners and D'Annunzio's Pizza, and
Like
it was like
two fat guys in an oven.
yeah. It was like 4 just Newcastle companies.
Riardo's.
I got
Riardo's is another one.
Was it?
Yeah.
Sponsored by Maze Donuts and fucking Mr. B's lamb sandwiches.
Sponsored by Mary's.
Yeah. Newcastle Music Festival. Let's see. Is this a thing that's been ongoing for a while? Oh yeah, I recognize the logo now.
No, it was a summer fest before that. It was like
Okay.
a summer concert series. I knew the guy that was doing the ones at the riverfront.
Yeah.
Remember over where the confluence was, like near there?
I don't remember like everyone talks about the confluence. I think that was after my time. So what's this? Okay, so Austin and the Powers is like kind of a funny name.
Yeah.
What is that? Andrew
I don't even think
Slater
they're
and
local.
the Wikis. Drifting thing.
Wiki whack.
Wiggity wiggity whack. Make Death Proud is a band.
Yeah.
Proud.
Wine and Spirit. Like, are they going to
That's
get
Adam Parrott's
sued?
band. Adam Parrott's the drummer in that
Is it?
band.
Okay. Or,
Yeah,
like,
they're actually a pretty well-known band.
have they ever
been
gotten
around
like a
forever.
cease and desist from the like the Wine and
From the
Spirits?
state of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, the
You
state of
can't
Pennsylvania.
You can't call yourself Wine and Spirit.
That's like calling yourself the Quaker guy, the you know, the Quaker oats guy.
I'm gonna do it.
You gonna do it?
I'm gonna do it.
I am. My band is called Quaker Oats.
Quaker
Just like,
Oats.
don't even try to blend. Don't even try to mask it.
Johnny Quaker and the oat brand cereals.
Johnny Quaker and the Oats, and you do your hair and like have the hat. You just
I'll do my hair like the dude from Hall and Oates.
and every song is about grain. This song's about barley.
Barley? I hardly knew her.
So Tony, I want to talk about.
It didn't work at all, but I loved it.
I'm trying. I'm trying here. I'm trying.
It's
Got
evolving.
ADHD all over this fucking podcast.
Well, that's what. Yeah. Well. Yeah. That's just part for the course here, anyway. But
Oh, yeah.
This is what happens when three men who worked all day get together in the evening and try to talk about something of focus for more than 5 minutes.
Okay. So anyway, okay, back
Well,
to the
you're-
EP, though.
well, so no, well, like you're our fourth guest now, and like I think three, like 2 out of the 3 before this were like, you know, serious. Like you know, we laughed and had jokes and shit, but it wasn't like ADHD shit, you know. And now, so now we're gonna. It's like split. You know, it's like 2 out of 4 are gonna be like all over the place ADHD, and the other one's gonna be like a normal interview.
I have trouble being. I mean, I have trouble being. We're you know, when it comes to like practice and getting ready for shows and everything like that, like, you know, we're not like one of those bands where it's like, oh, an hour went by and we practiced one song and like nobody can focus, and like we get down to brass tacks and we get it done. But when it comes to like actually trying to take what we do seriously, I refuse. Even though like the songs we play and the songs we write and stuff like that, they're fairly serious, the subject matter and stuff like that. But I don't care. In between songs, I'm just like, does anybody have any questions? You know?
Yeah.
And like, you know, like I don't know. And even like, I want to name our EP. Not great, but thanks for asking. And
I
you
like
know,
it.
and a lot of the songs are like just have like little tongue in cheek barbs, like, and kind of just like self owns. Like when I'm writing lyrics, I tend to be kind of self deprecating and stuff like that. I just I don't even care what the genre of music is, how serious it sounds. It's like, especially if you're in like a local band, taking yourself super seriously about it can be like such a bummer to me and such a turn off to me.
Well, that's
Yeah.
why I like the early 2000s, maybe late 90s, early 2000s era of like emo or like emo core, when people were writing like they had like the longest, stupidest song titles, and it had nothing to do with the song. Like that kind of stuff always made me chuckle. Like, I had sex with somebody in Fall Out Boy, and all I got was this stupid song written about me. You know, like that shit, like self-deprecating and funny. Like I miss that era of.
And then people hear the song and they're like, "It's not even a funny song." It's like, so what? Who cares?
Yeah. It's better than calling the song "The Quiet One" or something lame. You know what I mean? You came up with something funny.
Well, let's talk about. So you have the guy. Which of your band members? You said plays like mandolin and piano and banjo and
Phil Moskov.
Okay, Phil. So
was that the same guy you played with in somebody in the Someones?
No, so he moved. He actually lives. That was Phil Arena. He actually moved about 3+ years ago. He actually lives in Hudson, Ohio now.
Someone in the Somethings.
That was our former band.
Someone in the Somethings. That's what.
All covers. Someone in the Somethings. But then I started writing songs, and it didn't feel like that. I still like that band.
Yeah,
I still like that band name, but I don't know. It just felt like it evolved into something different. Like we wanted a different name for it. So then we were trying to think where we had 2 band names for a while. It was like, when we just do covers, it'll be this. then if we play a show like opening for someone else, then we'll just play like our 3 or 4 originals and then one cover, and we'll call ourselves Gallatin Hall, because that was the name of the residence hall that we lived at, the dorms at Robert Morris University, when Phil Arena and I used to just like play music to try to like impress girls and stuff. We'd be like at a party and doing like John Belushi would have like grabbed the guitar off one of us and smashed it. You know, we were like just trying to like play acoustic guitar and like sing songs and get girls to like us. Um, but flash forward like 12 years, and we were like, hey, let's get back together and like start playing music at bars and just do covers, but do them in a different way and choose songs people wouldn't expect and stuff like that. But then when Phil Arena moved, we were already playing with Jake, our bass player at that point. He went and bought an upright bass. His college degree is in bass performance, so he's like very, very, very good musician, very accomplished musician, plays in like 2 other bands as well. But he was like, hey, I know this other guy who would be a perfect backfill for Phil Arena. His name's also Phil. He also has a degree in music, and he plays like a million things, and like he'll be able to sing the harmonies and stuff. And so it just kind of worked, and it kind of took us to a different place musically, because he plays mandolin, he plays melodica, and he can play piano. He can play, like, he's one of those dudes, like, you just give him something and he'll be like, I could probably figure out how to get music out of this thing,
Yeah.
He's like a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah. He'll squeeze my cat and just get it to make like a G sound. Yeah.
That pussy can sing.
So were you guys all into I know that you and the former Phil, we'll just call him former Phil.
Former Phil.
We're both into punk rock, but like you guys weren't playing punk rock. Is that sort of like a similarity with the guys you're playing with now? Is everybody, because I mean,
guys,
this is predominantly like a punk rock podcast, but like we
Yeah.
branch out and stuff. So like I wanted to kind of make a connective
Sure.
thing there for the people watching, you know.
Yeah, so Phil Arena, like he was in a bunch of former Phil. Former Phil was in a bunch of like local Pittsburgh, like pop punk bands
Yeah.
in the early 2000s, mid 2000s. They used to open for like Punchline and some pretty well known bands, and I think they even did a little tour. They had an album and stuff. We would cover a few songs, not like straight up pop punk songs, but like we would cover a few songs that were like we'd
punk
cover like
adjacent.
we'd cover like a brand new song, and then we would cover like Coheed and Cambria. We found a few to put in there that was kind of like along the lines of the stuff that we were listening to when we were in college. Even if Phil was still into all that, I wasn't really as much anymore. The guys that I currently play with, I definitely have a lot of punk influence in like the songs that I write.
Yeah, because you're like a big Frank Turner fan, and
yes,
and
Frank
I know
Turner opened
growing
like,
up. Sorry, go ahead. Good.
Well, Frank Turner opened like a lot of Frank Turner taught me how to write songs. Like I always had ideas. I always had little hooks I'd write on guitar and stuff, but I could never just put it together into a full song. It's almost like my anxiety got the best of me. But something about like listening to Frank Turner and the Avett Brothers, who are not punk rocky at all, really. But I started listening to them and Frank Turner. And actually, I found out about the Avett Brothers by listening to Frank Turner on like Pandora. And they would just throw out like Celtic punk bands, but then they'd throw out like other Americana or folk artists. And that's how I ended up hearing of the Avett Brothers, who I ended up very liking a lot. But I started listening to all this stuff, and I was like, oh, none of these guys are doing anything that intricate. They're not writing any crazy guitar parts or anything like that. They're playing cowboy chords. They're playing a C and a D and a G. And it's like the melody that they're singing and the lyrics they're writing and the hook that they're writing. That's what matters. So all these years I was getting in my head thinking like, well, these bands that I like they play electric instruments and everything's very complicated. But when I got into Frank Turner and the Avett Brothers and stuff like that, I was like, oh, it doesn't have to be complicated. Say what you want to say. In the lyrics. The lyrics ended up being like, oh, that's the thing that matters to me.
And And I think being in the punk rock, you were also probably influenced by things like Against Me,
Oh
or
yeah,
maybe even like
big time.
Days and Days, where they were, that folk punk kind of was bleeding into that Americana influence too.
Early Against Me, when like they were basically playing drums on a bucket and playing acoustic guitars. Defiance, Ohio. Just a bunch of bands like that were very lo-fi.
Father John Misty and stuff like that.
I do very much like Father John Misty. I think he's awesome.
Me too.
Hey guys,
his new stuff is weird. His new stuff has turned into like borderline Frank Sinatra. Like it's like big band and stuff. And I still really like it. I just think he's an interesting dude. Every album's gonna maybe be a whole different genre, and I'm like, I'm in. Whatever, buddy. Whatever the new album is, Father John Misty, I'm gonna listen to it. I tend to just start talking and being stream of consciousness, unfortunately.
no, that's perfect. That's what we do. I just I don't know. I feel like we didn't touch on, because like, here's the thing, like this is, like I said, this is a punk rock podcast for the most. Sorry, I'm burping because I've been drinking, but
yeah, this is the second iteration of basically what I had done since 2021, Tony. You know what I mean? Like that's, this is a different avenue. This is more of a video podcast than what I was doing before, which was just straight audio. But like all my episodes had, funny parts and stuff where things go off on tangent, especially guests that I know personally, and can, the conversation might devolve a little bit. So it's not a big deal. And listeners kind of like the conversational aspect of the podcast more than anything. So
yeah, it's not an issue at all. I just I wanted to make some kind of connective tissue, between like, here's the thing. So the only thing I could think of that I wanted to talk about was oh, it's fucking weird. Anyway, the
got the baby oil out. Okay, Diddy.
Yeah. Nice try, Diddy. As the kids say. They don't even know who fucking Diddy is. I don't know why.
Yeah, they do.
Why it's like a big joke. Well, they do now.
They know who he is, and they know what.
Are we recording?
They know what R. Kelly did too. So
are we recording?
Yeah,
we're recording. Yeah.
My son, my 8-year-old, asked me the other day. He was talking about, we were playing what's it called? What's the game where you can fight everybody with all the Nintendo characters?
Oh,
Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, I thought it was Super Smash Brothers.
Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
We were playing Super Smash Brothers, and I was Diddy Kong, and he said something like, "Dad, isn't there a rapper who did really bad stuff named Diddy?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "What did he do? Did he hurt people?" I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah, he hurt people bad.
Yeah.
He hurt him.
He hurt him.
Yeah, hurt him.
Please
hammer,
don't hurt him. Fuck you. Tony, remember when we rented the fucking they're like MC Hammer made like a movie called Please Hammer Don't Hurt Him?
I don't. I remember watching Cool as Ice though. The Vanilla Ice.
Yeah, we did that too. We watched Cool as Ice, but I think probably
film.
His film.
The Vanilla Ice film.
The Vanilla Ice film. Please Hammer Don't Hurt Him. No, sorry. Cool as Ice.
2.
Please Diddy Don't Hurt Him.
yeah, basically. Yeah.
Please Diddy Don't Hurt Him 2.
So like
Back in the Habit.
Electric Boogaloo.
Electric Boogaloo Back in the Habit.
Lost in New York.
Yes.
Leaving the cube.
Yeah. So like, dude, remember, so we had that little fucking like general store by our house for the longest time called Pine Hills.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a beach for some reason.
Oh yeah. It was just a strip mine, and they just had like
strip mine. They filled in with some water.
Yeah.
And I remember one time we were digging in the sand. We were digging in the sand, just making sand castles and shit, and we dug a little too deep, I guess, and all the sand was black.
And everybody
And
was like, "Oh yeah,
then
you can't dig deep
everybody
here."
started freaking out, and then like the fucking government showed up.
Yeah, they're like, "You can't dig deep here.
Do
You
you
can't dig
remember?
deep here."
Like, do you
Yeah.
remember that? Yeah.
Yep.
Like they
I
had to
remember
clear the
Hot
place
101 would
out.
have like days at the beach there, and I'm like, "What is Hot 101 doing here?"
Yeah. Well, it was a
This is
Youngstown station. So
I know, and it was only like,
were
20
they at
minutes down the
Pine
road.
Hills or were they at fucking like Moraine State Park or something?
No, they I remember them being like at Pine Hills,
Jesus.
being like, yeah, and like Springwater Acres.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those places were so scummy. Like, if I could go back and just see what it was like now, I'd probably be like, oh my God, that was gross.
Yeah.
But when you're a kid, you don't know. You're just like, I'm playing in the sand.
Yeah. Fuck
In
it.
all, in all fairness, my hometown has duck races. Okay, so I really like not real ducks, little
plastic ducks. Oh yeah. Yeah.
You went to Kennedy too, so
I went to Kennedy.
remember all that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then you could make your own ships, and then they had a small ships review.
Yeah. We used to go to small ships. We were like 17, and we would just go there. They didn't card anybody, and you could buy like a half-gallon like milk jug full of beer, and we were just like blackout drunk, like juniors in high school. Around like we're like, hey, talking to like your English teacher.
Yeah, like you would go down there, hang out at Quaker State, get some wings and shit like that, and like you could go to anywhere and just get beer because the vendors just weren't carding, so you could go walk around like small ships and just get hammered, dude.
No one cared. No one cared.
No. Well, shit, I used to play Freddie Fresh's with a Sheetz cup, the big Sheetz cup, and half of it would be alcohol, and nobody checked to see if it was. I'm playing an all ages club, getting sloshed, dude.
Sorry,
Freddie.
Sorry, Fred.
Yeah.
Sorry, Freddie Ferrone.
Sorry,
Freddie Fresh.
Listen, I was 22. I was tired of being sober.
So, like, Tony, when we were growing up, I mentioned earlier, like, so I got into punk, I'm 14, you're 10.
Yeah.
And, probably for the first few years, we were listening to all the same bands and stuff. And then I feel like around the time I was like 17, you were 13, we started like I said, like dovetailing, Yeah. And I remember like the bands that we were both into that you stuck with and I kind of like got out of a little bit. Two of the bands that like stuck out to me were Bad Religion. Because I think from like the Gray Race onward, like I wasn't so much into what they were doing. And I think you kind of stuck with them. And then Goldfinger.
Yeah.
Both of those bands, Goldfinger less obviously, but I think both of those bands have like a lot of like folk influence and like folk songwriting kind of stuff going on.
Definitely Bad Religion.
Yeah.
Greg Graffin, I don't like it, but he released like a folk album, and I don't like it very much. But a lot of those Bad Religion, you can find stuff online of Greg Graffin playing like Sorrow and like a bunch of Bad Religion songs, just him like on stage doing like an MTV Unplugged, just playing those songs, like folk, finger picking them and stuff. And I was like, oh, I didn't know Greg Graffin even played guitar because he doesn't do it in Bad Religion. So I've loved that band since I was 10 years old, and I'm like, I didn't even know he could play guitar.
Yeah. I'm just thinking songs
because they've had like every like amazing guitar player in hardcore like since 1979, so he had no reason to play guitar.
Yeah, but I'm
like
just
a lot of
thinking
those
like
galloping drum beat like epitaph bands and stuff like that. A lot of that stuff is not that far off from. You can strum that stuff with opens, cowboy chords, open chords on an acoustic guitar, and it translates very easily. But yeah, Bad Religion's a band I've always stuck with. They're still one of my favorite bands. I listened to them at the gym the other day. I just put on a Bad Religion playlist and was listening to them while I was working out. They'll be one of my favorite bands forever. Isn't it cool? There's a lot of shit that you start listening to when you're 10 years old. I was a weirdo, right? Well, I had a brother 4 years older than me. So not a lot of 10-year-olds were as into music as I was. I was really into music at 10. I think back then most kids were getting an album and they were listening to the one or two songs that were on the radio. They weren't really listening to all 10 tracks and reading all the getting the booklet out and learning all the lyrics. And I started playing guitar at 11, so then it turned into like, oh, I got this 𝗵𝗶𝗸𝗃 album. I'm gonna like learn all the lyrics and I'm gonna like kind of like just play the power chords and figure out how it goes. Um, but that's kind of what it turned into. And yeah, it never stopped. And I really never stopped listening to a lot of those same bands. They always had like some of them just for more nostalgic reasons, but like some of them are just straight up good bands. And it's kind of cool when you get older and some of the things you liked at a younger age, you'll listen to it now and be like, ah, it doesn't translate. It was cool at the time, but like I just can't get into it now. But some of the stuff, my favorite album when I was 10 is my favorite album now, and it's the Blue Album by Weezer. I don't really like, other than that and Pinkerton, I don't really like anything else Weezer's ever done. But I think Weezer's Blue Album is perfect. I think it is. And the fact that Rick Ocasek from the Cars is the one who produced it. I like the Cars too.
Yep.
Like,
yeah, I'm a big Cars fan too. Yeah.
Like, I don't know, that album just 1 through 10. We didn't have a record player, but I dropped the needle on it, so to speak, on My Name is Jonas when I was like 10 years old when Sam got that CD, and I would just listen to whatever Sam got. I just listened to it the whole way through, and I just still to this day, I listen to that album a ton of, I still listen to it all the time.
Did you get the reissue? Did you get the reissue with like all the extra tracks and stuff?
Yeah.
Even the throwaway tracks were amazing, dude. It's fucked up what level that band was on right from the jump, dude.
Yep. And You Gave Your Love to Me Softly, which is just like a throwaway like B-side that was never really on an album.
Yeah.
Such a good song. I think it was just on like the Angus soundtrack or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
That and Jar, JAR by Green Day was on the those were both, that was a good soundtrack.
Yeah.
Smoking Popes were on there.
What's funny about that soundtrack is like we owned it. Like I remember we had it on cassette. And neither of us, like, as far as I know, neither of us had seen the movie. Like, I didn't watch the movie until like
I've ever seen it.
I think I finally watched it like 15 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
Like 15 years later, I was like, it was all right, but I haven't, wasn't something I'd run out and buy on Blu-ray or whatever. But it's just funny because like, all those bands that both of us got into at the same time. Like I remember we had like a joint CD collection, until probably like I think I was probably 17 or 18 when I started like I think I probably had like a conversation with you at some point. It was like, dude, we gotta have our own CD collections now, and you were probably like, why?
Probably,
but I remember like
you were fucking getting a divorce or some shit.
Yeah.
Well, because like I just remember you got you got
friends.
You got like really into like Americana or 𝗀𝗟 on the 𝗵𝗿 or so, like one of the like the later Offspring albums. I'm like, whatever, I don't really. And then
I still love 𝗀𝗟 on the 𝗵𝗿, not Americana, but I like 𝗀𝗟 on the 𝗵𝗿.
Like
it's my favorite album by them.
See, I'm still like the only like I like the first 3 albums, and that's about it. Like everything else there's like a song or two that I'm like, all right, but that one and Hang Ups by Goldfinger was one that you got really into, and I was just kind of like, I'm over Goldfinger, I guess. And I was getting into like Minor Threat and Dead Kennedys and stuff like that.
Yeah, you were going like more into like punk rock.
Right. But like also like ska. Like I think, you still liked like the, obviously Goldfinger, fits in there, but like, I started getting into like Operation Ivy and the like the specials and stuff like that. And I think like you got into Blink 182 and I couldn't stand Blink 182, so it was like we sort of spread off in our own little like adjacent paths.
We always, I think the line in the sand for where our musical tastes went different directions is I liked the stuff that would hit you in the feels a little bit.
Yeah.
you know.
I like the
And you were,
irreverent stuff, you
and
know.
you liked the irreverent. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You were more like
I
this
mean
is
like even
thrashy.
but even like Dead Kennedys is a political band, but they're irreverent at the same time. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but I like Dead Kennedys. I've always liked Dead Kennedys, but I could never get into like I don't know. So like the moment something's about like horror, it's
Yeah.
just it doesn't scratch me where I itch, you know. But I know you love like horror
Eh,
based bands.
I mean, I like the earlier Misfits stuff. I really like the
Like
Danzig era
Electric,
of the
what's that one
Misfits.
band you're into like Electric Frankenstein stuff
Yeah,
like
but they're
that?
not a horror band. That's just the name. Like they
Oh,
don't have
okay.
like horror content. They're just like a hard like a punk throwback to like early AC/DC kind of
Yeah,
stuff. You know?
yeah.
Kind of
I
like I
I I liked songs about like relationships and like I liked Bad Religion always spoke to me, even though they weren't about relationships. They were like political and stuff, but they had lots of harmonies. I liked the melodic stuff that they would do.
Right.
And I think that's kind of when I started getting to like more acoustic and Americana music and stuff. When I would hear like when I would listen to like the band and they would have like 3-part harmonies or like Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young and stuff like that. And they had all those harmonies. I was like, oh, that's not that far of a leap from like some of the more melodic type of punk rock stuff that I grew up on.
Yeah.
yeah, I think I feel like I'm kind of like in between the two of you, where I love a good Dead Kennedys, but there's something about a really good No Use for a Name song,
Oh yeah,
or
they were a
Ted
big
Leo
one
and
for
the
me.
Pharmacist, or something along those lines, where like I don't know, I think it's because I got into punk rock and indie rock at the same time. Like I was getting into bands like Sabado and like the Descendants and those bands all at the same time, and a lot of those bands were all doing like Husker Du was a hardcore band who ended up making really good indie rock,
Right.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that's kind of where my line was is I let
Fugazi.
what's that?
Fugazi was one too that like some of those Fugazi albums they got a little like kind of indie-ish, they kind of got a little experimental. Um, yeah, I don't know, but there's also bands that I got into. Like I guess I don't know. There's some bands they just hit me where they just scratch me where I itch, right? So when you talk about like the irreverence and stuff like that, or like kind of a thrashier sound, like one of my favorite bands of all time is Queens of the Stone Age,
Yeah.
and they're they're just like a rock and roll band, and I just really
Mm-hmm.
dig them. I dig their sound. I dig their content. I dig what their songs are about. And the other band that he's in, um,
Eagles
what's
of
the
death
other?
metal.
Eagles of Death Metal. I love
Yeah.
Eagles of Death Metal. So there's some bands there's some bands like that that are almost, I guess, almost have like a punk rock aura to them.
Oh yeah, did you ever watch the movie Desert Age?
No,
About the California low desert scene, where like
about like Caius and stuff.
Caius and those
I never
bands,
really
and
listened to Caius, but I mean, I like Josh Homme, so I mean, I feel like that's a band that I probably need to give a
a
listen
lot of
to.
those a lot of those bands were like sludge punk. They were basically combining like the LA scene and Seattle scene and making like
Yeah,
this like really dirgy kind of like I want to call it grunge, but it was almost like even lower than grunge. They were making just like some
yeah,
bizarre. Some bands were psychedelic, some bands were indie, some bands were straight up like punk rock. Like there was just the scene was just a really, and like everybody played with everybody. It was
yeah.
kind of like a Newcastle scene where like none of the bands sounded the same, but
But they were all cool with
everybody
each
was
other.
friends.
Well,
I
we recently made friends with a band here in Pittsburgh where they're like a rock and roll band, with a female singer and very like upbeat. You'd probably really dig them, Sam. Um, and like I just got talking with the guys, like we should play a show together sometime. And I was like, well, you haven't heard us, but we don't sound anything like you guys. And he beat me to it because I was going to say, but who cares? He was like, yeah, but I don't care. Like we're both Pittsburgh bands. I don't care if you guys have no drummer and you're an Americana band and you're like harmonies and we're just like electric guitar and drums. Like, why can't we play a show together? Like, who gives a shit? Why does a show have to be a punk rock show and all 4 bands on it are punk rock bands. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying, like, I don't know, wouldn't it be cool to get together and you're like, all right, the band that's opening is like this acoustic band, and then the second band is, you know, like a grungy band, and then the third band has a horn section, and then, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Music is music.
I do nothing but mix bills. When I throw a show over here in Youngstown, I do nothing but mix bills. I don't want a whole night of bands sounding the same. I'd much rather have an Americana band play with a ska band, play with like a sludge rock band, and then have a DJ open. Like, I just, maybe it's by ADD, but I don't want every band sounding the same.
But I think there's a space for both. You know what I mean? Like, I think, like I really like the eclectic bills, you know, like, you know, my monthly Friday night ska club, which I'm just kind of clinging to that name at this point.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, it's just we don't have a ton of ska bands up here, and I can't keep having the same out of town band, like 3 or 4 out of town bands keep coming back every month. So it's become like ska punk night, but I'm still calling it Friday night ska club because it's a fun name. But yeah, like I like going to shows where all of the bands are kind of similar in style, because nobody really sounds exactly alike. You know what I mean?
No.
But like, you know, I really enjoy going to a show where there's like a band that's, you know, playing like 90s alternative, and then there's a hardcore band, and then there's a ska band, and then there's, you know, maybe like a solo acoustic act opens up or closes or whatever the fuck. Like I mean, either one is good. I think it just depends on what you want that night to be.
Yeah.
You know,
I just think at 44 years old, my ADD is only getting worse. And because by like say a third band comes on and they all sound the same, I start to get a little sleepy. Like, I need somebody to stir the pot. You know what I mean? Like, I gotta kind of get jerked awake.
A lot of bands that I've liked my whole life, Frank Turner being one of them, they're artists that I discovered because they were opening for another band I went to see, and they were not necessarily like. There was a band I used to like, and actually Jason Schwartzman, the actor, was the drummer in them. They were called Phantom Planet.
Yep.
I went to see Incubus when I was like 16 years old at the old Mellon Arena, right at the Civic Arena, Mellon Arena, whatever it was called at that point. And Phantom Planet opened for them. And Phantom Planet was just like a garage rocky, you know, kind of like a garagey type band. Nothing like Incubus, and I ended up liking them. Like, I ended up like immediately going to their signing, and as I'm standing in line, I'm like to like meet them. They were just like right out in the hallway, like doing a meet and greet afterwards, and I was like, "That's a fucking dude from Rushmore."
Yeah.
I had no idea, Jason. I was like, "Oh," so I like got to like say, "Hey, man, I loved Rushmore." He's like, "Hey, thanks."
He's also Nicolas Cage's cousin.
He is, yeah.
His mom was Talia Shire, who was in Godfather.
Yeah, Talia.
He played the daughter. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I think all of them changed their, like, didn't they purposely change their name back in the days when it wasn't cool to be a nepo baby? They were actively, like, all of their last names I think are actually Coppola.
Coppola. Yeah.
They don't want to. They changed.
I don't think Jason Schwartzman is, because his mom was
like
exactly. Yeah, it's like
Schwartzman would be a weird name to change your name to, I guess.
Right.
But Nicolas Cage is Nicolas Coppola, and he liked the Luke Cage comics, and he was just like, I'm gonna be Nicolas Cage.
Right.
Which is hilarious.
So, like,
which is the most Nick Cage thing in the fucking world, is like, I'm gonna name myself after this comic book guy.
And I'm going to name my son Kal-El.
He did do that.
I want to say that Jason Schwartzman's brother was in the
Rooney.
band Rooney. Yeah, like I actually like Rooney a lot. Like Rooney is more my speed than like Phantom Planet is. Like, I wouldn't call them a garage band personally. Like, I think they're a little bit more like singer-songwritery, like
indie.
I don't know, like they're like indie, but their stuff's a little more complicated. But like Rooney to me is like Rooney.
They were all of that era of like the Strokes and like when all of those bands were coming out, and they all had like shades of difference and stuff like that. But like
Yeah.
a lot of those bands, they were kind of cut from the same cloth in my eyes at least. If you could get into Rooney, it wasn't like a huge stone's throw to get into like the Strokes or the Vines or
Right.
Phantom Planet or a lot of those early 2000s bands.
I keep wanting to call Rooney Squeezer
Squeezer.
because they sound like a combination of Squeeze and Weezer
Yeah,
to me.
I got a Squeezer once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it
Sam.
was it in the hot tub?
Nah.
There's
I got
like
a
a
squeezer
letter
from
Kenny joke in
Sam.
here somewhere. There's a letter Kenny joke in here. So she gave me a squeezer in the hot
Hey,
tub.
she gave me a squeezer.
Yeah, like the terminology is different in the actual fucking letter Kenny reference, I'm sure. But there was
I wanted
something
to
about
say-
someone getting a handy in but I think they called it a squeezer, didn't they?
Yeah. Squeeze, giving her the old squeeze box. I
Frank
wanted to say-
Turner opened for
Squeezer.
Squeezer. No, he opened for Flogging Molly, which I guess that's not that different. For some reason, they always throw Frank Turner in. Like if you're listening to like Flogging Molly radio on Pandora, they're going to throw Frank Turner in, but he is not Celtic in any way, shape, or form. So I have no idea why.
No, it's still
Drop
folk
kicks.
punk though. It's all folk punk.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. I don't listen to Flogging Molly and think like, oh yeah, if you like this, like Frank Turner would be. It's so like Irish in nature, Celtic in nature. There's nothing about Frank Turner's music that is. His is very English. He's very
No, but the
proudly
thing-
English,
But like the
which
thing
is the
with
most,
Flogging
which is
Molly,
the opposite of Ireland.
yeah, but like Flogging Molly only sounds Irish really because of the instruments that they're playing and the fact that like Dave King is from Ireland. Like they're actually like so from all the interviews and stuff that I've seen, and actually like I have a lost interview somewhere with Dennis Casey from like where I just had like a little like mini cassette fucking tape deck that I walked up and I was like, hey, I have a zine. Do you want to talk? And blah blah blah. But anyway, like their influences are like Johnny Cash and the Who more than like Irish folk music. Apparently,
Yeah.
they just play like penny whistle and fucking mandolin and shit, which I always thought was interesting.
Yeah, Phil in my band, he plays the tin whistle.
Mm-hmm.
When we do
Of
our
course, because he plays everything.
because he plays everything. when we do our annual St. Patrick's Day show, he plays tin whistle on a few Pogue songs. He plays melodica on a Pogue song and a couple Flogging Molly songs. We do an annual St. Patrick's Day show at Big Rail in Grove City.
Yeah.
Where we don't play any of our songs. We won't play any covers that are by an English band because that would just be rude to the Irish.
Right. Should play the English Civil War song. English Civil War. I don't know. I think
we play a lot of Pogues. We play a few Cranberries songs. We play a lot of old Irish songs. There's a song called like "The Humors of Whiskey" that's basically just like a spoken like a sung poem that we do a cappella. But we try to and Phil Moskoff in my band has dual Irish citizenship, so he's real deal Irish. So this was his pet project when he joined the band, was like, hey, I'm really excited to learn Irish songs and stuff like that, but would you guys be interested in learning like a lot of traditional Irish music? And then like we could also throw in some Van Morrison. We could throw in like a couple old U2 songs. We could just like Irish artists, but then a lot of traditional Irish music, but then like some Pogues and some Flogging Molly, some drop kicks, some stuff like is associated with Irish.
You guys do like Dexy's Midnight Runners and
we should
like Thin Lizzy.
We talked about Thin Lizzy. So we had a handful of
Emerald
songs
by Thin. Like I always thought Emerald by Thin Lizzy would be a good song to like just folk it up, you know. Instead
we do
of
Whiskey in the Jar, but we do the original. We do like the traditional version, not like the Thin Lizzy version, because I know they have a version. We definitely don't do the fucking Metallica version.
Right. Fuck that.
What a horrific cover that is.
Yeah. I heard I was at I was DJing at the Winchester in Lakewood last Friday, and there was a Metallica tribute in the back room. That was like the
Why?
main draw. I don't know, because it
I love
sells,
Metallica.
you
I
know,
do
but
love
like
Metallica.
but
But
like
that whiskey in the
before
jar
anybody
is
was there, it was like 5 o'clock. I don't know the name of this band. I doubt they're ever gonna see this, but it was like they were doing sound check, and me and everyone in the staff just looked at each other. They were doing
it's gonna be a
whiskey in the
horrible.
jar for like the sound check.
Uh,
We looked at each other and we're just like, oh my God.
They probably did that fucking weird ass song with Marianne Faithful too.
Well, the thing
Where she
is,
fucking moans in the fucking the fuck out of here.
once the show started though, like they, at least at the beginning, they were doing like thrashy, like first three albums kind of
yeah,
Metallica. So like I was like, oh, okay, holy shit, whatever. Like, all right, cool, have fun, guys, you know. But like I'm sure later in the evening it turned into
And then
like
came Nothing Else Matters.
or
And
or like
mood change.
or like shit on Reload or whatever the fuck. I'm sure they ended
yeah.
with all that stuff, but um
Early
Saint
Metallica.
Anger, like the dude pulled a fucking cooking pot out to do Saint Anger.
to use this snare. And Will Ferrell with the cowbell. It's pretty much what that snare sounded like.
I
In that
gotta
album.
have more cooking pot, baby. I gotta have it, you know. I got a fever,
but-
and the only prescription is more cooking pot.
But like, I kind of pride myself, and it's not like I try to be this way, but like I pride myself on like if you were to get in a car with me, it probably drives you crazy, Sam, because you've been in a car with me plenty of times where you probably are like, Jesus Christ. There is no lane I will choose as far as music goes. I might listen to the new Run the Jewels album and like have some hip hop, and then I might put on like early Metallica. I might put on Bob Dylan. I might put on Bad Religion. And that's not
But
just
that's
when
a
I'm with
good
somebody.
thing. That's a good thing. It
Yeah,
doesn't
like
bother me. Like
I have to
the only
drive
thing
back
that
and forth.
bothers me, the only thing that bothers me, I can't even remember if you do this, but like when people have it on like a shuffle, but like they'll only listen to the first like 30 seconds of a song, and
Oh
then
yeah,
they'll get
well,
bored and skip it.
that I used to be like that before I kind of got my ADHD and stuff a little more under control. But that's when you're young and you're like trying to impress people with like your music. Like, hey, listen to this. Oh no, you got to hear this song. But
See, when I was younger, I was always more like focused on like I just remember before streaming and all that shit, before social media, I would like call friends up on the phone, the phone attached to the wall, not like the cell phone.
yeah,
And I'd like, hey, you gotta check out this song. Have you heard this band before? And they're like, no, play it. And I'd fucking play it for them over the phone, you know. But we'd listen to the whole damn song. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't until later that I like started. I think there's only been a couple times where I would get like super like ADD with music, and I just skip and shit like
yeah.
that. But like I know people that do that though, where they'll just like play like 30 seconds, and they're like, oh.
Well, I know our
I want to hear
opinions.
this.
I know our opinions differ on vinyl. I don't know if it's for you, if it's just the sonic quality or whatever it is, but like,
No, it's the money aspect.
yeah, which I get. I'll own it's anybody who's like, oh, this new album came out. I hope it's good. I'm gonna buy it on vinyl. I'm like, what are you doing? I save the albums I'm gonna get for vinyl for just albums I know I love already.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm the same way.
That's
and I
like me with like DVDs and shit. Like that's the only time I'll buy something is if it's something that is so important to me, and like I know I'm gonna replay it over
Right.
and over again.
And what I like about getting, I can throw on a playlist and listen to whatever. But if it's an album I already know that I love front to back, totally not punk rock, but like Rumors by Fleetwood Mac. I know that I want to listen to the front side of that, flip it over and listen to the back side of that. The way the artist intended it to be played,
Mhm.
in the order the artist intended it to be played in. And I have the cover art. I have like some of them have a poster in there. Beatles White Album. I have an original print of Beatles White Album. It still has the poster in it.
Nice.
And I just there's something about like, oh, I want to hear it the way they wanted me to hear it. and I want to listen to the whole album. And if I'm dropping the needle on something, I'm not going to go like pick the needle back up and choose a different song. If I drop the needle on track one, I'm listening to like all, 5 or 6 songs on the first side. I'm flipping it. I'm going to listen to every song on the second side. So, there, it's kind of the opposite of, or it helps me control my ADHD with music, kind of, because it's like, I listen to I know I'm going to listen to the full album, and I don't sit there anymore and just like have the art in front of me and really listen. I'm doing dishes, I'm clean, I'm folding laundry, I'm working, I'm doing my regular day job, typing and doing spreadsheets and stuff like that. But in the background, I'm just listening to like a full album front to back, and I don't know. That's still when there's an album I love, I'm like, I throw it in a notes section of my phone. I'm like, this is one that I would consider getting on vinyl.
Yeah.
I have that rule book, like with having the label that I co-own with my buddy Mike. Even though it's a CD label, when I get stuff from a band, when I get the cover art and I get the back art and whatever the sleeve is and stuff, I will purposely listen to how they send it, whether it's like a Google Play list or whatever, or like a Dropbox or whatever. And I'll listen to every song in the order that they intended it, like you would do with an album, because like the best way I'm going to experience what I'm going to put out is by listening to it the way that it's intended. Much like you were saying too, like I want to start at track 1 and I want to go through track 12 or 14 or however long it is. And because like I feel like that's the way you should listen to either an album or a CD. Even having a CD player, I would just hit play and just let the fucking thing play, dude. It's just, I don't know. I think if a band's putting that kind of time in to release something like that, the least you can do is listen to the whole thing. You know what I mean?
Obviously,
hey guys,
stream
real
stuff
quick,
comes
sorry. We got like 2 minutes. I was trying to not jump in because you guys were talking about some good stuff, but yeah, we got 2 minutes. I want to just do you guys have a title for the EP picked out and everything yet, or
No, I'm pushing for Not Great But Thanks for Asking, or just Not Great, Thanks for Asking.
Yeah. And that's going to be released through do you guys do like CD Baby, and it's going to be on all the different distributors? And
yeah, it'll be on all the distributors. We're not going to do physical copies because that always just feels like, to me anymore, I'm always worried about we're going to do a little EP release and I'll get everyone to buy it physical copy, and I don't know if they're gonna listen to it or not. So
you got a friend with a fucking CD label over here, man. You're fucking killing me, Smalls.
You guys could do a show and call it the album release, and then just have QR codes, just pass out.
That's kind of what we're thinking of doing. But it's going really good. We're called Gallatin Hall, Gallatin Hall.
Sorry, 1.5 minutes. I'm sorry, but yeah, Gallatin Hall,
Atin Hall, HALL. We're on Instagram at gallatin.hall. Please check us out on there. We have all of our shows posted on there. We don't really do any other social media. Maybe we have YouTube. I don't know. Phil's wife does all of our social media for us, and she does a really great job. We just got some new merch and stuff like that. But we're going to be playing at the Millvale Music Festival. If anybody's local to Pittsburgh, the Millvale Music Festival is 500 bands all day in Millvale on that's going to be May 17th. But yeah, come check out a show. Keep your eyes peeled on all the streaming services for when we do release our album, and we'll be talking about that on Instagram as well. But I think we're very accessible musically. But you can definitely tell the punk rock influence in there, the Frank Turner type influence. In the songs I write, like I said, pretty tongue-in-cheek stuff with some of the lyrics, and try to have fun. There's a lot of different instruments we throw in the mix and everything too.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Tony, for coming on the podcast. And yeah.
Thanks, Tony. It was great bullshit with you, man.
Sorry it's so rushed. I wish it wasn't.
I could
so
bullshit
rushed
all day.
Yeah.
You know me.
It's all right, but
hey, you know me. You fucking know me.
I fucking know you, Tony. Hey, what's up,
bullshit
Tony?
all day. I can fucking talk all fucking day.